Hello everyone! So Sonic X Shadow Generations was announced recently and understandably can't wait to play it this autumn. What's cool about this remaster is that they're doing a Bowser's Fury remaster with Generations as Shadow gets his own story mode. It makes you wonder what else they can do with other Sonic games that need a remaster. Most obviously, Sonic Unleashed. Now I did a segment of Unleashed remaster 4 years ago? Oh wow. Anyways, let's do an update. Okay, the base game of Unleashed doesn't really need much to improve on. Let's be honest. It rivals Generations as the best boost game in the 3D department. It's the best looking Sonic game to date. Only thing Unleashed needs is a consistent FPS, a drop shadow for the hedgehog, an option to turn off the battle music to listen to that awesome soundtrack, and not having the requirement for the Sun and Moon medals to be high, even though that could be saved for a hypothetical easy mode, and make the controls a bit tighter. Yeah, Unleashed doesn't need that much in terms of improvement. Now let's get to the fun part. Like what I did with my video on the hypothetical Sonic Lost World remaster where we get to play as Metal Sonic in his own story mode and what is currently happening with Generations with Shadow, the same thing should be done for Unleashed where we get a side mode, but who? Well, I'm about to be completely biased, but no other than my favorite character, Silver. Here's why. While we can talk about characters like Tails, Knuckles, Amy, etc. for a side story and remaster, they are kinda safe in my honest opinion. I say that because those three, including Shadow, are iconic and popular Sonic characters. Silver, on the other hand, is the underdog. He debuted in Sonic's most infamous game, and he had a very bad first impression on people. He only started getting positive reception once he got into Archie, and even then, that's an uphill battle since that's only from the fans' perspective. Outside of that, non-Sonic fans hate him either because he was the face of Sonic's stupid friends in the 2000s, or the fact that he was in Sonic 06, which led him to obscurity. If anything, he's in a similar spot that Miles Morales was in pre-2018. I believe putting him in an add-on story mode for one of the most popular games in the series will do him justice as a way to repair his reputation and have a new resurgence in popularity from the general audience. Also, Silver would be fun to play as, but more on that later. So what would the story be about? Well, as much as Silver is known for being a time traveler, it's kind of a tired concept that for him to be involved in any story, he has to travel to the past in Sonic's era. He lives in the future. What does the future of the series look like? Rather than have Silver has his own individual adventure in his time period, than go to the past to take crap from Lanolin of all people. I don't have a strong idea for the premise other than that Eggman Nega is trying to reiterate Dark Gaia. I know that Sonic lore is super inconsistent where a character that was once supposed to be a dimensional counterpart is now changed to be the descendant of Eggman, but when I really think about it, I prefer it that way. I feel like Captain Whiskers make more sense to be the sole dimensional counterpart to Eggman in terms of the role of being the hero's arch nemesis. Anyways, I think you can have Eggman Nega be even scarier than the original Eggman because he took the machine Eggman used to wake up Dark Gaia and made it even more powerful. Like, he improved it to the point that it can actually mind control Dark Gaia and it's up to Silver to destroy that machine in space before Eggman Nega uses it to crack the world and take control of Dark Gaia. It was shown that even though Eggman is gone, his technology has gotten more advanced where his descendants can even do more heinous things without the setbacks he has gone through. Also, I think it would be really heartwarming that Sage is still around in the future, now looking like a woman in her 30s to help her great nephew and try to help him achieve what her father couldn't do back in the day. Another reason why I want this story mode to take place in the future is that since Silver is chasing Eggman Nega across the world, we get to see how the contents in Unleashed are like in Silver's timeline, tying the main story Unleashed and Silver's story together on a thematic connection. We get to see pretty much how these places look now, and the potential is crazy with that concept since you can have Sonic CD as inspiration with good and bad futures. For example, Halaska has become an ice utopia that looks similar to that ice paradise, while unfortunately Adabat has become an oil wasteland. The potential is crazy. This is probably going to be short for Silver's side mode in terms of gameplay, so there should be hub roles in this mode as well for story purposes, like talking to a distant successor of Professor Pickle, someone like Professor Von Slimmer perhaps. Also, definitely to see how the cultures of the places we explore in Sonic's time period evolve or sadly devolve over time. For example, the ice cream guy at Apotos in Sonic's era became successful enough to have a commercial ice cream company across the world. To get to the stages, you just gotta do challenges like in the base game. I don't think we need a medal hunting for this mode. The actual stages that Silver goes through are sort of different from Sonic Days time stages. How Silver is done in Project 06 will be great as a source of inspiration on how he should play. I want Silver stages to have more focus on platforming and combat where we can fully utilize Silver's telekinesis, and a bit of a twist to some criticisms that base Unleashed received back in the day, nearly taking as long as the Warehog levels, at most clocking in at 15 minutes. To spice up the gameplay so it doesn't get stale, there should be sessions where Silver is flying, and these are like the Mach Speed sessions of Sonic 06 with some inspiration from Spider-Man Edge of Time.
When it comes to the bosses, even though Eggman Nega is the main villain, I like some bosses that have no relation to his schemes. Say an abominable fire creature that brought Empire City to ruins, and it's up to Silver to defeat it for the people to start rebuilding.
I think this way helps flesh out Silver's role. I would love to see how Silver could fight against Sage, who is essentially beyond the capabilities of what she could do back in Sonic's era. I do want the Emeralds to be involved in this story just so we can have a solo Super Silver fight against Eggman Nega's strongest mech, where it can go toe to toe with a superpower being. Paying homage to that Eggman pretty much made the Sonic killer in Sonic Unleashed. The final level should be Neo Eggman Land, but it's on the moon. It's time to wrap this up. I don't think they would redub Unleashed just to have consistency with the modern voices. I want the original recording with the 4 kids voice actors intact, especially with Jason since he's my favorite Sonic voice. And that's no disrespect to Roger, who also has a great voice of Sonic, especially after Frontiers. I just want to hear Jason again. However, for Silver, I want his current voice actor, Bryce Papenbrook, to voice him. Pete Capella is great as Silver, especially for the character's first voice, but Bryce's voice for Silver is awesome and underappreciated because he started off in TSR. When it comes to writing this mode, Ian Flynn is great, but I'd rather want him to step aside for Evan Stanley. We do need new blood in the writing department, and I love to see different writer interpretations of characters. This is no disrespect to Flynn since he has done great work in the game so far, but give him a break, and Stanley is perfect because she's a huge fan of Silver with her own fan series called Ghosts of the Future, and her future work with the character in Archie and IDW are some of my favorite stories in the franchise. That was my video on a Sonic Unleashed remaster. Adding Silver in the remaster of this game isn't my deal because I'm sure you saw fan trailers of what that could be like, but this is just me going further with the idea, especially after having fun with my Metal Sonic and Lost World remaster video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.